So quick punchy one this week. I thought I'd just stand in front of the whiskey wall here back at CopperCairn HQ and give you guys a quick overview on the history of marketing Scotch whisky. Oh, before I get started, by the way, you guys like the t-shirts? CopperCairn t-shirts, got my own shop now. You don't like the No Sleep Till Speyside one? No problem. We've got the Dram Master Flash version. You don't like t-shirts? We've got the hoodies, all three designs, all good to go. And because you guys are watching this, punch in code CopperCairn10 into the checkout box and you get 10% off. Now, need to take this off and on with this week's episode. So I think the question to ask is, has the marketing of Scotch whisky been successful over the years? Scotch whisky is sold in 166 countries around the world. 33 bottles are sold every single second. £3.6 billion were sold in 2020, which isn't bad considering 2020 was a bit of a crappy year, let's be fair. Also, when we talk about whisky tourism, 2.2 million visitors visited distilleries around Scotland in 2019. Don't have the numbers for 2020, but I'm assuming they're a little bit lower than that. Let's rewind a little bit. 1822, we go back and we have King George IV, who came to Scotland, Big George as we like to call him in Scotland, and he comes up to visit the Highlands of Scotland. First time there'd been a royal visit in a long time, and he actually insists on Glenlivet whisky. Now, not the Glenlivet that you and I know today, because this is 1822. The Glenlivet as a brand was formed in 1824. So he's not referring to this stuff. He is referring to the area that we now know as Speyside. It is what I like to call the first ever bit of marketing, accidental marketing if you like, on Scotch whisky that happens. Everyone is now aware of Scotch whisky down in England. Everyone's going, well, the king asked for it, so it must be good stuff. This leads to a lot of distilleries actually putting Glenlivet after their name, something that Glenlivet actually had to fight a number of years later in a court case to stop distilleries doing that. So whenever you see a very old bottling with Glenlivet put in after their name, that is the reason why. Can't really talk about the marketing of Scotch whisky without talking about this stuff. By 1820, this stuff is available in 120 countries around the world. Now, to put that into perspective, Coca-Cola is only available in 8. So very different type of marketing with Johnnie Walker. We're talking about the striding man. We're talking about this anti-Scottish sort of marketing. There's no haggis, there's no bagpipes, there's no Highland fling going on. We've got this very much twee gentleman who is very well dressed. Great bit of marketing that has that consistency about it. I go all around the world, and one of the things that I say when I'm from Scotland, people instantly know Johnnie Walker and they will always mention it. Let's talk about single malts. Let's move away from blends. Now, the first bit of marketing that comes into play for single malts isn't happening until the 60s, believe it or not. So a lot of people are kind of like, well, I thought single malts had been around forever. I didn't realise that it's quite a new thing, and it absolutely is. What happens is the Grant family that owns Glenfiddich and Grant's blended whisky, and they're bringing people up to the Glenfiddich distillery to check it all out. When they're doing that, they're giving them a little taste of Glenfiddich. People turn around and say, this stuff is really good. Why didn't you guys start marketing it? So they do, and this is what they did. This is a replica bottle of the first ever Glenfiddich that came out back in '63. But at the time, the family were mocked for releasing Glenfiddich and trying to explain to the world about the difference between single malt Scotch whisky and blended whisky. So from there, it really kind of takes off, and we see a lot of other companies then following suit and starting to release their own single malt Scotch whisky on the international stage. Let's talk about modern day whisky marketing. What is going on? Great to see a bit more inclusivity, a bit more diversity now. We're not seeing the old man drinking Scotch whisky by the fire, or the guy in the power suit sitting around after a meeting cheersing everyone. Some great examples of marketing that's going on right now. Lefroy, opinions welcome. The new stuff that's coming in from Glenmorangie right now really kind of speaks to a younger generation of whisky drinkers. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Who's creating decent adverts right now? What do you want to see as well with regards to whisky advertising? What do we need to do? You know, I think we maybe need to drink some of the stuff. Drinking's good. I've got a wall of whiskey. What would you guys pick?